Deli edition.
There's a silent revolution that's happening in Madison Square Garden right now. It's not loud like the Bing Bong era. It's not headline grabbing like the Kevin Durant signing that never happened. But it's real and it's powerful. It started with one quiet decision in 2022 when Jalen Brunson, fresh off of a breakout playoff run with the Dallas Mavericks, he chose to join the New York Knicks on a 4-year, $104 million contract. It was a great deal for Brunson, but it wasn't the max. He could have held out for more. Other stars have, but he didn't. Brunson, in doing so, planted the seeds for something in New York basketball hasn't seen in decades: a sustainable, selfless team culture built on contention. His decision echoed moves made by the likes of Tim Duncan, Tom Brady, two of the greatest champions in their respective sports. And what was the common thread? Taking less so others could join, sacrificing dollars for banners. Brunson didn't just sign a contract, he signed a declaration of intent. And Leon Rose, the former agent turned GM, he understood the assignment perfectly. The Brunson discount created a culture-defining move. Let's begin with that. Let's begin with what he could have done. He had every right to chase the bag. Other teams, like Detroit, like Indiana, they had cap space and they had interest. Dallas had its bird rights, but the Knicks, they didn't even have the money at first. They had to offload contracts just to sign them. But Brunson wanted New York. Not just the city, not just the lights, but the opportunity to build something. And in private conversations with Leon Rose, a man who had known him since he was a child through his father, Rick Brunson, Jalen laid out a vision. He didn't just want to be the guy. He wanted to build a team. And that meant flexibility. And that meant cap space. And that meant being the first domino, but not the last domino. And so he signed a contract that, in the NBA world of economics, is now laughably team friendly. Because Brunson is an all-NBA talent being paid less than Tyler Hero. This single move redefined the way the New York Knicks would do business, not with desperation, not with overpays, but with vision for the future. And what we see now, we see a pattern emerging, a team of builders, not takers. Fast forward that thing to 2024-25, what do we see? OG Anunoby re-signs in New York, but is reportedly taking slightly less than the max to stay in a system he believes in. Josh Hart signs an extension before hitting the open market, keeping the team's flexibility intact. Isaiah Hartenstein, while ultimately departing, was also reportedly willing to negotiate creatively if it meant contending. Mikal Bridges, once thought untouchable in Brooklyn, is now on the New York Knicks thanks in part to Brunson's recruitment and the Knicks' maintained cap structure. Leon Rose didn't just collect talent, he collected minds. Brunson's example created a gravitational pull, a code of conduct. If you're coming to the Knicks, you're not coming to grab a bag, you're coming to grab a banner. And that culture, that's our team. It's an honor to be in a conversation with Duncan and Brady. They're the blueprint for champions. To understand the brilliance of this move, look at the history. Tim Duncan spent 2 decades in San Antonio and never once insisted on a max contract that would have crippled the Spurs' flexibility. Instead, he allowed them to sign players like Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, even LaMarcus Aldridge later in his career. His quiet humility was the scaffolding of a dynasty. Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, routinely restructured his deals with the New England Patriots. He understood that giving up $3 to $5 million per year was worth it if it meant keeping an elite offensive line or a championship caliber defense. These weren't charity cases. These were strategic sacrifices. And Brunson, by taking less when he could have taken more, joined that elite fraternity of winners who think beyond themselves. But it takes a silent architect. It took Leon Rose. Leon Rose has been the subject of fair criticism and harsh doubts. A former agent with no prior front office experience? Nepotism? Questionable draft picks? Shorter criticisms were fair then. But now it's becoming clear that Rose has always been playing a longer game, quietly, methodically. He used the initial Brunson contract as a keystone piece, not just for what it allowed financially, but what it represented. He surrounded Brunson with like-minded players, guys who like playing basketball, who trust each other, and who aren't addicted to being on ESPN every morning. And now look what Rose has built. A team featuring Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, McCall Bridges, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and a deep bench. That team isn't just talented, it's connected, it's flexible, and critically, it's still affordable under the new CBA's harsh cap penalties. Rose didn't fight the cap, he mastered it. He didn't just sign players, he signed believers. Why it's the secret to a title, you ask? Because this is the part where Knicks fans all sit down. Actually, you know what? Sit up. Because this is happening right now. The Knicks have cap flexibility, a solid draft pipeline, and multiple tradable contracts. We have a new age version of a big three with Brunson, Towns, and actually Bridges. They have defensive wings, offensive creators, and veteran leadership. And unlike some of our Eastern Conference rivals, they're not financially overextended, and we don't have many injuries. Look around. Boston's going to start facing tax hell soon. Milwaukee is aging. Philadelphia is always one piece away. Miami's a mystery. But New York? We're loaded with chemistry and aligned contracts. That is how you win championships in a modern NBA. Not just with stars, but with cooperation, with belief. The Knicks don't need to beat the cap. They've befriended the cap. The CBA punishes reckless spending now. The second apron is a guillotine. Teams that want to last have to do exactly what the New York Knicks are now doing. Structure for the long term. Sacrifice for the team. Brunson set that tone. Rose followed through, and the rest of the roster brought in. And this is why we're going to see a domino effect. Perhaps most underrated of all is how this strategy affects our recruiting. Superstars are watching. If you're Giannis, Devin Booker, or even Joel Embiid looking around this league, what are you seeing? A Knicks team, steady professional culture, has stars who recruit each other, not recruit the spotlight, has a front office that doesn't panic, has a fan base that's rabid, loyal, and ready. This makes the Knicks attractive, not desperate. That's how real stars move. That's how real dynasties we begin. The selfless revolution. Jalen Brunson did something rare in professional sports. He left money on the table. Not out of desperation or miscalculation, but because he believed. Rose built on that belief with every move that followed. This wasn't just about basketball IQ. It was emotional intelligence. It was financial awareness. It was vision. Now the Knicks have a roster that doesn't just fit together. They fight together. They've got that Villanova brotherhood. The big men, the scorers, the defenders, the shooters. And most importantly, they've got a team full of players who understand. We before me. That's not just the secret to a Knicks title. That is the blueprint for a dynasty. And it all started with one man choosing to take less so the whole team could have more. New York is different now, and the NBA is forced to pay attention and forced to follow. What say you? Keep this in mind. The same thing applies to life that applies to our team. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. We here now. But also remember this, whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here at Knicks Deli, baby, everybody eats. I'm your boy Shia, and I'm out. Peace.